Just about 4 years ago, Steve and Mark Ryan did a video saying that Tesla's Cybertruck is engineering genius. What I want to add to that on the eve of Cybertruck deliveries is that Tesla's Cybertruck is also design genius. Let's take a look. Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All. I am coming to you from the lovely La Quinta Inn in Austin, Texas. Sorry for the kind of dull background and for some of the noise. It's near a highway, so anyway, it's a little bit loud, but obviously have to be here for the Cybertruck delivery event tomorrow, which will be today when I release this video. I'll do it in the morning to get everybody's appetite whetted. What I want to do today is talk about the design cues in Tesla's Cybertruck and how the vehicle that has been very divisive. People, when they saw it originally, including me, when I saw it originally, I was like, oh my, that's a pretty ugly looking vehicle. But it has grown on me over time, and I've started to realize that just like all great design and great art, it is one of those things that is a culture shift. It's something that is going to move the needle forward culturally, and things just won't be the same after this. And so just like with great art movements like Impressionism or Modernism or something, or great design, like a lot of Apple's designs back in the day, like the original Macintosh and then the iMac and everything, the Cybertruck is beautiful and also very different, and therefore will represent a culture shift. It's going to be something that for quite a while people are going to debate about, but in retrospect, in 5 or 10 years, when you see the Cybertruck design has gone sort of spread out through the world, and many other cars look like the Cybertruck, or at least try to, because it sounds like it's going to be very difficult to replicate what they've done at Tesla because it's a difficult truck to build, but people find ways of cheating and making it look sort of like it without making it that difficult. But also we'll probably see other things like, the Cyber whistle, and we'll see, Cyber cup holders and Cyber mugs and all of that kind of stuff that Tesla's already done. But, I'm just saying, like in the broader world, we'll see more and more of those sort of design cues. And so what I want to do first is just take a look back in science fiction movies from the last couple of decades, starting with the classic Blade Runner 1982. You can see Deckard here is standing next to a future police car from, interestingly enough, 2019, which is the year that the Cybertruck was announced. So it makes some logical sense why they would have called it the Cybertruck in 2019, but also because of the specific look. But you can see a lot of those design cues. It's very sort of metallic, hard-edged, a lot of glass, things like that. Next up, we can take a look at this other image here. That's the car driving through, the streets. If you actually watch the movie and you watch the video itself, you can see that this is sort of a shell that's placed on another type of vehicle, and it's very rattly and kind of junky looking and everything. So it doesn't really portray this very, very well when you look at it, because it just doesn't look like a really solid vehicle. But the basic look of the Cybertruck is cued into movies like Blade Runner. And if we dial things back even a little bit further, we can see the Arc 2, which was a 1970s TV show, and I'm sure Dusty will appreciate my mentioning this here. But again, with this vehicle, this sort of Arc or RV or whatever that went around in the future, you can look at a vehicle like this and see the design cues that the Cybertruck sort of has with this. And interestingly enough, the Cyberlander will actually turn the Cybertruck into a full-fledged camper. So we'll actually get something like this Arc thing in real life very soon. I'm actually going to be talking to Lance King, the CEO of Cyberlander, in the next couple of days, and hopefully we'll do an exclusive video on some of the new stuff they're talking about. They are going to be doing a reveal of their own pretty soon. And then if we jump forward to the 1990s, we can see Johnny Cab from Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and you can see this vehicle looks very, very much like the Cybertruck, right? The really, really hard edges, very metallic, obviously much smaller. It's like a sedan type of car, not a truck, but really, really similar in the design cues and the basic look of the vehicle. And again, if you watch the movie itself, which is not a great movie, but if you watch the movie, you can see that this is kind of rattly and it's not put together particularly well, but it looks very much like Tesla's Cybertruck. And then finally, we can't talk about science fiction future movies without Back to the Future and the DeLorean time traveling machine. In real life, this was probably the closest car to the Cybertruck that was ever built. And of course, it was built by DeLorean Motor Corporation in the 1980s, and it's stainless steel, and it's got gull-wing doors, and obviously Elon Musk and Tesla took cues from that for the Model X with the gull-wing doors. Thank goodness they didn't do that with the Cybertruck. I don't think they ever would have gotten it off the line if they built gull-wing doors. But anyway, again, a very, very similar looking vehicle. You've got this nice hard-edged lines, a lot of stainless steel, a lot of glass, a very beautiful looking vehicle. Very 1980s. It's a different look, so the Cybertruck has modernized this look, but it takes a lot of design cues from these 1970s and 1980s future movies. And so let's turn to the reveal of the Cybertruck, and here's the beautiful Cybertruck with its 2 shattered windows. Not shattered, sorry, cracked windows, but that's just kind of wonderful. And of course there are t-shirts of this now and everything. But if you look at this vehicle, it has a lot of those same design cues. And also it looks a lot different than the ones that we're going to be seeing delivered tomorrow/today. It has, door handles, it's a much bigger vehicle, the angles are not quite the same, but you can see that this looks really, really similar to those like 1970s, 1980s, 1990s science fiction movies, and you can see that the design is sort of the future. It's what people think of as the future when they think of futuristic vehicles. And here's another view of the original model, the prototype model, again without the side view mirrors, without the windshield wiper. Very, very clean, but also not as refined as the current version. And so now if we turn to the release candidate, you can see we've got this lovely light bar. We've got no door handles at all. You can also see the cameras on the side, the B-pillar and everything. There's also cameras someplace down here. I can't remember exactly where the repeater camera is, but it's someplace in this plastic manifold here over the wheels. You can also see that the side view mirrors have been placed in, and they've been given that sort of angular Cybertruck-y sort of look. Very polygonal, very triangular. And then of course the gigantic windshield wiper, which looks kind of ridiculous in these pictures, but everybody says is not as bad in real life. So hopefully I'll get a nice chance to get a close-up look of it at it tomorrow, and I can give you my own evaluation of the windshield wiper and exactly how big it is, or whether it fits with the Cybertruck zeitgeist. And again, real quick here, another view of the vehicle indoors. It looks rather beautiful here. If we want to look at it outdoors at Giga Texas, and this would have been back at the Shareholder Day event, so you can see that the top of the entranceway was not completed at that point, and this was on that giant cement slab, but it's really, really beautiful. It's a very, very, very attractive car. It's been shrunk down a little bit from the original prototype, and it looks much better in my mind, so the angles have been kind of refined a little. It's not quite as long and as ungainly looking, and much more attractive in this version, I believe. And then we can see the vehicle in a work environment with a little bit of dirt on it and everything. There is one problem. Apparently the stainless steel is quite the fingerprint magnet. So there are companies, I guess, that are working on some coatings that you can put on it to keep fingerprints from all over it. But again, it doesn't look bad. If it gets dirt on it, if it gets some fingerprints on it, even if it gets some scratches or something, it's probably just going to enhance the look and give it that sort of well-worn science fiction look that these vehicles really deserve. And then we get a top-down view with the tonneau cover closed and the nice big giant, skylight window on top, the big windows on the side. Again, the very beautiful sort of triangular look. The side is really attractive. It makes an oblique triangle, and it just looks like a very, very, I don't know, it's a very attractive look now. And it's really interesting because even looking back at the original prototype versus this is so much more refined and so much more beautiful, and it's in such very, very subtle ways that it's difficult to put your finger on it, that it just looks a ton better than the original prototype version of the vehicle that was revealed 4 years ago. And if you don't believe me, take a look at this, right? I really do believe the new version looks substantially better than this original prototype version. And again, it's just very subtle, but it definitely looks better now. And then we get a nice view of the Cybertruck being constructed, and even without the glass on and anything, and even incomplete, it just looks like the future. It actually almost looks more like the future here, more futuristic here and more science fiction-y here than when it's all put together. So it's actually really cool. And I have a feeling that either in movies or people are going to do videos where they're going to take the thing apart to some extent and show off the vehicle like half constructed or something, because it really is. That is just a super cool look. So I had to pause on this picture for just a moment. And then here we can see a close-up of the side view mirror, and again, because you have to include it, it's a really cool looking shape. Apparently it's going to be very easy to disassemble and uninstall, and I guess they will have electronic side camera mirrors. At least that's what Elon said a while back. We'll have to wait and see how easy they are to remove and whether there are cameras on the side so that you can actually have that side view that you need without having these big giant wind parachute things that are reducing the efficiency of the vehicle and also making it look a little bit less sleek. And then some interior views here, so you can see the steering wheel with kind of a more angular look and everything, so it's not circular like standard steering wheels, so it gives that correct sort of feel that goes along with everything else. You can also see the center console, as opposed to being smooth, has kind of hard edges. And if we look at this interior shot, again, you can see that even the seats have this angular look. So there's a nice combination of kind of rounded stuff, but also angular things. And you can see that in the steering wheel where it's rounded, but it's also angular. You can see it in the seats that are rounded, but also angular. You can see it in the center console section that's kind of rounded down here, but angular up here. So it's this really sort of beautiful combination going back and forth between things having some roundedness and some organicness and very, very hard lines and very polygonal look. And then finally, we can see kind of a tonneau cover like replication in the center console. I don't know if that's actually going to be in the final version of the vehicle or not, but that's pretty darn cool looking. And then even the display, again, angular, and some of the display icons are angular instead of rounded and everything. So all of this works together to create a really, really beautiful blend of organicness and angular non-organicness or manufacturedness. And it creates a look that I think people are going to really fall in love with. If they hate it, they're going to hate it a lot. And if they love it, they're going to love it a lot. And that again is a sign of design genius. If something is so vanilla that nobody really has an opinion about it, that's not really a genius design. You want something that is divisive. You want something that is going to have people really in the camp of, I love this, and people really in the camp of, I hate this. And what happens over time is that there's always this group of people that hates these new design things, whether it's art or design. And over time, they're won over, and fewer people complain, and more people love the new design, and that creates that culture shift, and then everyone expects the new things to look like this design. And if they don't, they look old-fashioned. And my prediction is that cars that are not looking like this in just a couple of years are going to start to look out of date and old-fashioned. And if you don't believe me, just look at pictures and videos of people already lining up here. So Tesla fans lining up outside showrooms to catch a peek of the new Cybertruck from November 27th, just a couple of days ago. So you can see a bunch of people here in line. And if you look at videos, just Google it online. You can see videos, you can see pictures. Lots and lots of people just walking through malls or strip malls or something will suddenly just go like, holy crap, what is that? And they'll look in there. People who have not been following this stuff didn't know that there was a Cybertruck out there. People who are just suddenly taken by this thing and say, what is this piece of the future that just dropped into our laps right now? How can I get myself one of these? It's going to be a crazy halo car for Tesla for the near future. But honestly, I think the biggest problem for Tesla is I don't know how they're going to ramp it fast enough. They have somewhere around 4 or 5 years worth of back orders already, which means if today or tomorrow is the first time you see this truck and you're like, I want one of those, you might be looking at 4 to 5 years to get one of these things. And that's going to cause a lot of people a lot of frustration. I think that they will want it much more quickly than that. So the biggest problem in my mind is how Tesla is going to ramp production fast enough to keep up the hype. For a period of time, people will be willing to be hyped up and be willing to wait because it's not going to be cheap, right? The minimum price I've heard is about $65,000 and obviously can be up to $100,000 or more. So it's not going to be cheap, so not everyone can afford it, but those who can afford it are really going to want this vehicle, and they're not going to want to wait 4 or 5 years. They're going to want it relatively soon. So I think Tesla is going to have to work very, very hard to try to ramp up the production fast enough that they can get enough of these things out there to satisfy the public that wants and can afford the vehicle. But aside from demand issues, I really do believe that the Cybertruck is design genius. It's the kind of design that is going to completely change the way that we view cars and also a lot of other consumer products. A lot of other designed products, people are going to expect them to go into this sort of low poly, angular / organic mode. And a lot of people are going to try to copy it, and a lot of people are going to do a terrible job of copying it. So there will be a lot of, really cheap looking copies. But the people who do a good job are going to continue pushing this design aesthetic forward. And Franz von Holzhausen and the Tesla team, and of course Elon Musk as well, all deserve a huge amount of congratulations for creating something that I believe is really going to be culture shifting. It's not just a new vehicle, it's a new icon. It's a new cultural icon, and that can't be overstated. It's something that really only comes along a couple of times in a lifetime, so everybody pay attention. This is a big day. It's a big moment in cultural life, and you have been here to witness it, so be happy. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video and found it fun and interesting and thought-provoking. And by the way, a big shout out to Manuel, who we saw at lunch today at Cabo Bob's. It was really fun talking to you. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching this video. If you do enjoy it, please do like it so other people can find it, because that's how YouTube's algorithm works. And of course, please consider subscribing for more of this kind of content. As always, a huge shout out to my patrons on Patreon, my YouTube channel members, and of course my ex-subscribers. Thank you all so much for supporting the channel in any way that you can. And if you want to join any of the teams, just check out the links in the description. And if you're interested in a whole bunch of really cool merch, check out our merch store. Link is in the description. We have Tesla Bot t-shirts, the Tesla meme t-shirt, Success is a Possible Outcome, 4680 battery cells. All of that stuff is on t-shirts, mugs, tumblers, and on. So check it out. And finally, don't forget we are both Tesla and Amazon affiliates. If you look in the description, you can see how going shopping for a Tesla, a solar roof, a Powerwall, or anything on Amazon, or even booking a test drive of a new Cybertruck, which should be available in a couple of weeks, helps out my channel. Thank you so much. And in the meantime, I will see you from Giga, Texas. Bye-bye.